Start start. Okay, sir. Okay, live now. Let me see. Okay, I think we are live. Just 1 second. Are we live? Okay, cool. I think we are live now. Type in hi if you can hear me. Okay, just give us 1 second.
19 नहीं 20 oh sorry 22
Hi, so hi everyone. I think I just came out of slot 2, right? Or of the just out of this, it is not much different from slot 1, and we the same. It had the same pattern as slot 1, right? There are 24 questions in VRC, then 22 in LRDA and 22 in quant, right? In VRC, there are 4 RC sets of 4 questions each, and then there were no para jumbles. There were 3 in session, I think, and then para summary and para jumble equally distributed among the other 8 questions. And in LRDI, there are 5 sets, 2 sets of 5 questions each, and 3 sets of 4 questions each. The 4 question sets for DI sets, which are mainly they are very simple. You should not be looking. Open it. Hello. Yeah, sorry about that. So somebody is saying, Anirudh is saying slot 2 was tough, could not solve anything. I think slot 2 had similar difficulty level as slot 1, right? So if you are looking at BRC, the attempt rate, the 4 RCs, they were quite involved. The questions were like in double negatives, right? Given the following, among the following, author will not agree with so and so except, right? There were many questions which are double negative, which required much more involved thinking. Other than that, most of the questions were quite straightforward in VRC, right? And the easiest one were the odd one out, the sentence insertion, the fill in the blank kind of questions, right? So those were the easiest one. And para summary were okay, or on moderate difficulty level. And then there were no para jumbles, and then there are there were no, just 1 second. Yeah, there were no para jumbles, and the para summary were quite involved, right? And coming to LRDI, so there are 3 sets of DI which are very simple. Like it boils down to reading the data and trying to understand the data, and the answers for the questions were very straightforward. So anyone in slot P should not leave those 3 sets. Like if the DI comes, right, you should be looking to do those DI sets. And then there are LR sets, which are like one set was based on coaches, and then the second set was based on this arrangement of numbers in a certain order, right? So those were 5 question sets, and they were on the moderate difficulty level. If you have any questions, so in QA, right, QA was around 22 questions. It was much easier than last year, right? And then most of the questions are straightforward questions. And the interesting part about QA is like there were some questions which were very simple, right? You could do the questions right without using a pen and paper, right using the calculator on the screen. So there were 3 to 4 questions that I did just using calculator on the screen. And there are some certain questions which are like will take slightly much more time. So the strategy should be to not waste time on those questions which will involve time, and quickly move on to the next questions, and try to find those easier questions which you will be able to solve with much higher accuracy. Okay, if you have any questions or anything, keep commenting. I'm checking the chat so that I'll be able to reply to your questions. Okay, so starting from the First question. So in quant, the distribution of there were, I think, two questions from geometry, which is actually very less than what it used to come in previous years, right? And then there was one permutation and combination kind of question, one question, two questions from logarithms, exponents, and there were I think 4 to 5 questions from algebra, which involved equation forming and equation solving and all. And there were I think 4 questions from time, speed, distance, three questions on time, speed, distance, 3 questions on like work and all. So in total, there are around 5 to 6 questions in time, speed, distance, and work. So Mudit Goyal was saying, was the pattern same as slot one? I think the pattern was almost the same. Even the question distribution in VARC was exact same as slot one. And in LRD also, there were three DA sets and then two LR sets, which is exactly same as slot one. In quant also, roughly the distribution of questions across algebra, across there was one number system question, which was a reminder question, and then across number systems, and then logarithms, time, speed, distance, geometry. I think the question pattern has remained same across slot one and slot two, and we can expect the same thing for the slot three also. I was asking how many DLR sets. There were three. There were three sets in DI and then two sets in LR. The LR sets were of medium to slightly harder, medium to hard kind of arrangement, and then the DI sets are easy to medium. So most of the DI sets actually involved solving each question individually. But that was actually directly asking the questions and then you can just calculate the data from the answer from the data given. So there wasn't any second interpretation of data or anything. It was direct calculation of the data presented in the DS set. So VRC difficulty level. So VRC difficulty level was actually slightly, I should say, slightly easier than last year. There were 4 RCs. There weren't any philosophical RCs. Most of the RCs are like almost contemporary. So they were mostly recent RCs. Just give us 1 second. So we'll be continuing the live. So keep posting your questions. So I will be answering the questions when it is possible. So కెమెరా ఆఫ్ చేసాను కెమెరా ఆఫ్ చేసాను Excuse me.
లేదంటే ఇట్లే చెప్తాను
చెప్తాను. Coming now. Okay, I think we are again live back now. So my video might not be available, so please bear with us. Right. So, but I will be taking the questions and answers. Okay. Abhishek is asking quant level of difficulty. Quant level of difficulty is much easier than last year. So the unique part about the quant series, there are certain questions which are quite easy, and there are certain questions which are slightly involved in calculation. So the trick to ace quant this year would be to identify those easier questions, and you should be able to attempt at least 13 to 14 questions using that. So there are at least 13 to 14 questions which are like almost sitter questions, and you should be able to identify those questions and solve the questions. Rather than that, I think in VRC the RCs were of medium difficulty, and then the reasoning. I think the VA part was there are three odd one insertion kind of questions, which are actually on the easier side. So you should be looking to solve them. and there were para summary and para jumble were on the medium to hard level. I think the pattern difficulty level actually follows the slot one across. It's of similar difficulty and then similar pattern of slot one. So more questions coming in. How many from geometry? There were two questions from geometry, which were actually very easy. So one was a trapezium kind of question, which is like when extended, and it could be done very easily using the similar triangles concept. And the next question was, there was one logarithm question, and then there were, I think, 5 to 6 algebra questions, which actually involved solving equations of algebra and then trying to find the values as required. So if you have any questions, please keep posting and we'll be answering your questions. If you want to go on. So we have with us Girish also, who took the test, and he can answer in more questions from you. Question.
मेरा फोन मेरा रहा
It's fine. I don't have your phone.
फोन रहा
Whose phone is this?
It's not me.
Here is sorry.
Okay. Girish, you can continue.
Okay. So RC is difficult than VAR, and quants is very difficult. DILR, this is Khushi Singh. How many sets were doable in LRDI? So I think 3 sets were definitely doable. One was ratings one, the other one was that chart base, and the third, I think, that players one. These 3 sets were definitely doable. Other set was a situation based. So if you are done with these 3 sets and you would have attempted 1 or 2 question of that situation based, you could have attempted that. But definitely 3 sets were doable. Paper was difficult than slot one. I think it is moderate and in the similar lines with that of the slot one paper. RC sets topics. So first RC was based on spices. The second one was related to carnivores, and there was one more RC which was based on that I think spices. Yeah, difficulty level of each sections, as sir already mentioned, it is moderate. Sir, quants and RC, please. Overall difficulty, parajumbles, there was no parajumbles. Ashutosh is asking number of arithmetic questions. I think there was some 7 questions, 7 to 8 questions for arithmetic base. RC topics, as already mentioned. There's more chat.
Questions are there. Give-
You can ask Nabil. Just send questions in chat.
Just give basic overview.
Okay, yeah. So the first VRC section, as there were like 3 para summary and 3 para insertion. All were moderate. Para insertion was 2 para insertion was definitely straightforward. Odd one out you would have to rate. Para summary one, I think that creativity one about musician, that you would have to choose consciously. Otherwise the RCs were readable. There was no complexity, or the topic was not that it was hard to read. Questions you could have attempted, answers were also easily visible if you have read the RCs very well. In DILR, the 3 sets, the first was the rating one, where 3 days of rating were given of the purchasers, buyers. The ratings were 1, 2, 3, and 5, and it was like average rating and cumulative rating for all the 3 days. So for second day's cumulative rating was given. You, for that, with that you could have easily found the day one's rating, and for day three's rating there were some clues. You would have, if you would have just found the rating for day one, the first question was the straightforward. What was the rating for? What was the number of buyers for day one? So yeah, and after that, if you have found the rating for the day three, the other 3 questions were based on that only. The second question was like there was employee strength and PAT, profit after tax. Two charts were given. One was given for 2019 and one other one was given for 2023, and it was given for 6 different companies. The charts were easily doable. I mean, if you just note down the data and answer the question, you could have easily done that. There was one more aspect of this, which was like the percentage of that PAT, that is profit after tax, used for research. That is also doable. You just need to observe how much area it is covering. The other one was a table based, where there was row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4, and there were some numbers need to be filled into that. There were some 5 to 6 clues about that, and the questions were like, if this is done, and I mean, the question was not asking directly what was that. It was more statement based for that question. The fourth RC was that based on there were 8 players and 3 coaches. 3 coaches train all the players, and the player's name was not given. It was 1 to 8, and it was mentioned P. For example, the 3 coaches were X, Y, Z. Y teaches only even numbered players. Z teaches only odd numbered players, and nothing was given for player Y. And then they train. After training, they give individual rating for all the 7 players from 1 to 7. That was there. You could have just gone through the instructions. I mean, the 6 clues about that. You could have easily done that. Moving on to quants. Quants was the some questions were definitely straightforward. For example, there was one question which was based on average, and one on compound interest and simple interest. You would not require to find the compound interest for the 6 years, and that too semi-annually. You could have used the equation and it was easily eliminated. The other questions, algebra was heavy. There was log question definitely, which was including variables. Other question, their average question was based on like, there are 4 the company has 4 divisions of employees, the first, second, and third, fourth. So they are they are arranged in particular order. First 10 employees receive a particular bonus, then last 10 employees receive a particular bonus. From permutation and combination, I could not directly found any question, neither from probability I could not see any question, or I'm not sure if that I missed out at that. But majorly there was no question from modern maths. Other than these two, geometry there were only 2 questions. First question exactly trapezium based, and second one was 2 triangles are I mean, there are 2 triangles which are touched each other, and we had to find the ratio uh, of their radiuses. Majorly it was that algebra arithmetic heavy. If you just do the arithmetic properly, you could easily clear the cutoff. uh, there was 6 7 questions. There was one question, mixture and allegation, which was very straightforward. One question was on ratio, which was like ages of 2 person. You just need to read the equation, read the question carefully, and you would solve that. Don't be afraid of arithmetic and algebra. For arithmetic, keep doing the question, read the question well, you will be able to do that. For algebra, do the ones which you are sure and you know how to solve them, how to approach them. If you are unable to if you don't know how to approach a particular question in algebra, don't start it. Move on, do the questions which you find easily doable. First complete your 10 questions. Once you are done with the 10 questions, then find the questions which you could not do in your first go, and solve the questions. So, okay, quants 12 to 13 questions were easy in quants. I would say not directly easy, but there were some 6 to 8 questions were directly easy, which you can see and easily solve. For other questions, it was like moderate. You just need to read well and need to think a little, and you will be able to do that. The good attempt I would say 12 to 14, 15 is a good attempt in quants. How many questions to attempt in all 3 sections? So VARC, I would say it depends for different people. Again, I would say don't fixate on particular number of RCs you would be doing. The RCs were easy to read. If you can 3 RCs and all V is I think a good approach if you are going to follow this. Exact details in DILR. So DILR, as I said, there were 5 sets. First was set was rating based. The other one was on um, chart based, pure chart. There was one on table based. You had to fill the numbers 1 to 9, I guess. The fourth was based on situation based. A particular question, every particular question of that set was situation based, and that was a five question set. The fifth one was number of players and the coaches. Harder than slot one or slot or not. It was, I think, moderate and in the same line as slot one. Remainder question, there was only one remainder question that was too very simple. 3 raised to uh, 333 divided by 11. What would be the remainder? So number system question was not difficult. RC questions. So one RC was on spices, which was uh, how the spices were in demand in earlier days. The other question was on other RC was on researchers, like if is it should it be allowed to review the research openly, and it was in that line. There were like both sides. There were opponents for that side, and there were not. The RC was informative and they were very easy to read. If you just read once and just follow the structure of the RCs, you would remember the RCs. What was the other RCs? Spices. Mm. Yeah, for quant again, 12 to 14, 15 questions are is a good attempt. Just pick up the right questions and easy questions. Don't waste time on the questions for which you don't know the approach. Overall, all the three sections were balanced. Just make sure that you don't miss out on attempting easy DLR set or an easy question. Just keep checking for the questions. Even in quants, start with attacking the questions which are easy.
Compare slot 1 with slot 2.
So slot 1, I don't have much details, but I think the more information as I got, it was in the similar line. It was same. The two DI sets were definitely easy, as that was in slot 1. The same case was in slot 2. Slot 1 had the same easy RCs to read, and it was also the same case here. The RC, there was one more RC on carnivores, like human conflicts, and the spices one was that. I think
Say all
Last word.
yeah. So for slot 3 people, I would say that be calm. Don't worry about what is going to be, which RCs are going to come or which sets are going to come. One thing, please have a belief on yourself that the RCs you can do and the DLR sets you can do. Quants is also doable. So be calm. Just try to find the questions which are doable. And for RC, don't worry about if you are not able to do any DLR sets or not. There are DLR sets which are straightforward. So just pick up those sets in the first. Similarly with quants, don't worry about the questions which you cannot do. Find the questions which are doable. There are definitely enough questions which are doable. First complete those questions, and then you can move on to the questions for which you don't know the approach. Similarly, RC, try to attempt as many as possible. The RCs are doable. Any 3 RCs can easily be doable. More than that, it's a good number. I think that is all. Good luck to slot 3 people.